Hello, this is Jcamera here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Lego Harry Potter set, released in 2002, numbered 4735, titled Slytherin. The set was released to coincide with the release of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the movie that came out the same year. No box, as most of these older sets go. I've had some with boxes, but this isn't one of them. Here are the instructions. We got the usual background with the medieval stone 13th century style architecture of the owls, the night sky with like the sort of sunset colors and like forest mountain background, and you get to see the magical set that awaits. You have the minifigure builds here. Without their wands for some reason, that is very odd. This is the only set that, as far as I know, does that. Then we get the actual set itself. It's just one big blocky part to expand upon your Hogwarts Castle, so not really anything there. There's kind of side builds, but they're meant to be placed within there. But I'll get to that as we get through the set. And just get an image of the set. Actually, this is an alternative build. Some sets have it on the box, but not on the instructions. But this one actually does have it in the instructions, which is nice. This is like some sort of, not a dojo, but with how the snakes are positioned, you could maybe think that. I think Cheesy Studios mentioned with one of the sets that an alternate build was sort of resembling a dojo. And then we get the Lego Creator Harry Potter game based on the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone if you're American. Because the set came out in 2002, and the 2003 edition didn't come out until 2003. And of course, we've got an advertisement for all the sets over here. And if you've been keeping track of these videos, depending on when they've released or watching through the playlists, then you will know that this is the penultimate set that I am reviewing. Not the penultimate one that released. It was the third to last one, and the very last one for 2002. There were two more sets after this, but they were both 2003. Both of those ones I already take a look at, but there's one more set that I'm saving up for the final review, but I'll get to that at the very end of the video. So that's the instructions. Now we shall take a look at the minifigures. The first minifigure of the collection is Draco Malfoy. Unlike the other sets he appeared in, for some reason his wand is the old brown color instead of black. I don't know why LEGO did this, but nevertheless, this is what he has. Other than that, it's the usual minifigure that we got. This is actually the final time this figure appeared. This figure appeared in 4 sets total, including this one. He appeared twice in the Philosopher's Stone wave with the set Flying Lesson, and then the Hogwarts Castle set, both the smallest and biggest sets of the wave. And then he appeared in Dueling Club within the Chamber of Secrets wave, and then of course this, adding up to 4. He has the Slytherin torso printing with the silver and dark green, the generic hairpiece in tan, the snarky expression, no printing on the back at all with both the torso and head, the starry cape with a big copyright logo. Very good classic minifigure, just nothing new to talk about other than the wand, which is very strange, and I would have preferred the black wand, but I don't know, just a new wand, I guess, for maybe he broke it, or Hermione might be Polyjuice Potioning as him somehow. Even then, she has a different color wand from brown in these sets, so that wouldn't make sense, but maybe you can just get a black rod and give that to Draco, and then this round one can go to a character that didn't get a wand in these sets, I'm not sure. The next minifigure is Vincent Crabbe, who is disguised as Ron Weasley. If the light can actually show his facial details. I had to turn off the light because that shows a lot better. Sorry if that's hurting anyone's eyes watching this video, particularly at night. Oh, now it wants to show up. Of course it does. But yeah, this is based on the part of the movie where the characters have drunken Polyjuice Potion to get information out of Draco to see what he knows about the Chamber of Secrets. He has the same torso and cape and everything as Draco, Slytherin with dark green and silver, which is nice. And the same starry cape, light grey clothes and yellow skin. I like the face, makes him look like a tough bully. One problem I have with this figure is that you do see the printing. I like that this figure is double-headed because that's one of the earlier examples of that in LEGO, but the hair doesn't do a great job at hiding it. Maybe it's when the Polyjuice Potion's somehow wearing off, I don't know. But I guess that's not a big deal. It's nice that we get this exclusive figure and a relatively niche character. And it's a new student as well. We don't get a lot of students in these older sets. In fact, discounting Tom Riddle, we only have 6 student characters. Actually, no, 7 because of Ginny. We got Harry, Ron, Hermione, Draco, Ginny, Crabbe, and our next minifigure, Gregory Goyle, who is disguised as Harry Potter, as you can somewhat see through the hair. Yeah, same as before. Very obvious hair. Other than that, he has the same sort of thing as Draco and Crabbe with the brown wand, starry cape with copyright logo, and the Slytherin torso with dark green and silver, yellow flesh skin tone, and white and light grey school robes. And a generic hairpiece like Draco, but in black to fit Goyle, because he's a brunette. The hair for this figure was surprisingly tight, but nevertheless, here is Harry to show that this is Harry with this Polyjuice Potion disguise. Again, he looks like a tough bully who may not necessarily be the brightest, well translated. I think this is Crabbe and this is Goyle because looking it up, that's what Brickow told me and like Bricklink and everything. But yeah, it's nice to get these two relatively niche characters in LEGO form. And this is the only way to get both of them. And with the whole Polyjuice Potion gimmick, it's the only way it would have made sense with the heads. You probably could have brought back these characters if you really wanted to, but you would have to get rid of the Harry and Ron torso printing. And I think the odds of that happening are not likely, because these are arguably Harry and Ron figures. I personally don't count them as that, but if you want to think that, go ahead. The chances of these two appearing again would have been unlikely for a few reasons. Like, obviously the Polyjuice Potion gimmick, but also how niche they are. If not for that, they wouldn't appear. And finally, because there's other characters that we would need to see first, particularly Neville Longbottom, and there's also others like Dean Thomas, Seamus Finnegan, the Weasley twins, like Fred and George, maybe Percy, I don't know, and like Moaning Myrtle, who's a ghost, but still, and like other ghost characters, and maybe like some Hufflepuffs and Ravenclaws, but I'll take this, because we need more than just Draco for Slytherin, so I'll take what we got. And I'm still glad we got these, and they are relatively important for the Chamber of Secrets, and I'd also say Deathly Hallows for, like, the Fiend Fire scene. Now we get to the build itself. The set is designed to be compatible with the Troll on the Loose set, as you can see by the floor, not being a big, beefy base plate piece, just a regular old plate, which is 6 by 14. I think it's 6 by 14 if I counted right. But yeah, here it is. Now this part here is a leftover from Troll on the Loose because I had nowhere to put it because This set is meant to sit on top of Troll on a Loose, as seen on the poster here, and I don't want any spare parts on the set, and I couldn't find a better place for it, so I just put it here. But it does look cool. I'll go into more detail if I ever do a Hogwarts tour video of the LEGO sets back then, but this is what it could possibly look like. You got the black owl here, and you got some torches, which look really cool, and these dark green lights, which look really cool, with trans green pieces, trans dark green, I should say. The snake pieces, which make it look a bit like a snake dojo, but obviously it's because it's Slytherin. You get a knight thing there. Maybe someone broke up a knight here, or some sort of duel is happening. And you get these table pieces, which you are supposed to move. You got some potion stuff here, like maybe homework from Snape, perhaps. And you got some drinks and goblets here. Maybe they're drinking the recipe there, or just casual drinks. And there's actually a recipe piece there. This gets me to think this is supposed to be the Polyjuice Potion plan that Hermione, Ron, and Harry had. Which is a bit weird, though, because Hermione is not in this set, not even regular Hermione or cat form Hermione, but you can kind of tell it. Maybe they're tricking Draco into doing it or something. And of course, you can remove this, but it is kind of tight to do so I'm not going to bother. And one of these has a green crystal in there, or diamond piece. On camera, it looks dark green. Yeah, I just had to check that for myself. Yeah, it's dark green. On the back, you see this all in detail with the green here, which really pops, surprisingly. I just wanted to show that off. Get the Slytherin shield, which is basically an actual shield piece, like in the Hogwarts Castle set where the knight wore the Gryffindor shield. This is just that, but part of the scenery, which looks really cool. The dark green and silver snake here. The walls are just here to fill out the place, which actually does work because it has sort of an underwater-ish background. Like, in the Go Harry Potter Years 1 through 4, in that level, and in the hub, it has this sort of lake background, which is pretty cool. Maybe that's why it has gaps, and it works better in this set than many of the others as a result, at least in my opinion. But yeah, they are pretty thin, but on the plus side, it gives us more space for the minifigures, which is very much needed in my opinion. And before I move on to this piece and that gimmick, I have to stress how annoying it was to put this on, because these do not sit very well on here, so it's sort of a back and forth. So if anyone is going to try and do this like I am, do not expect this to fit in perfectly. Or if you do, it will take trial and error. And when you do, never try to get it off ever again. Unless you're a sadist or something, I don't know. And you get this wall piece which just moves back here. So, like, say Draco knows the password and gets in and out and such. And this can, like, lock off people that don't know the password, which is really cool. Gives the set more dimension, in my opinion, and also more space, because how small the set is, though I doubt that was intentional. As for the actual piece itself, it's actually quite similar to the Hagrid's Hut set, with the stone walls with the sort of moist, like the yeast coming out of it with green yeast, and then you get the kind of green flag with the Slytherin logo, albeit destroyed. I say flag very loosely, though, because of how it's presented. It's almost as if it's part of the wall. Like, looks very stone-like with the colors and texture and everything, but it still looks very cool. And the fact that there's, like, the moist with the yeast coming out of it is cool. In fact, here's just the Lego shelf right here, just comparing that wall from Hagrid's Hut to this wall here, and you will actually find that there's a few common ground comparisons to make here. Going back to the topic of annoying things that move, the snakes do move too, but not as annoying. Just make sure you're flexible with how you put them on. And here's what the set looks like on top of the troll set. I have to show this because it's important for anyone trying to build their own Hogwarts. The troll set was designed with these slope pieces so a set could go on top of it. This set, on the other hand, wasn't, unless you want to take these off, which, thanks to this shield here, is kind of impossible and it wouldn't make sense to put it anywhere else. So this has to go above the troll bathroom, which doesn't make sense. It should be backwards because this is meant to be in the dungeons and this isn't. But, I mean, they say troll in the dungeons. Well, here, trolls in the dungeons, I guess. But with how this set was built, it's almost as if it was planned out ahead. I don't think that was the case, but it is pretty nice. And also the floor comparison. Troll set is brown. The Slytherin set is green. I just wanted to point that out for the sake of it. If you want to stack these two, this is pretty much what it should look like. With the troll set beneath the Slytherin set, and this archway of the torches and Halloween pumpkin on the Slytherin set, because maybe the Slytherins are celebrating Halloween, and in my opinion, that really isn't much of a stretch to ask to stretch. I've also seen people put these sets separately, but if you want to save up room, especially when making Hogwarts, you really do need to combine these together, at least in my opinion. But yeah, that concludes my thoughts on this set. A very solid set all around that actually does work to its benefit with its price. It doesn't screw up much. I think if I had to mention a couple things, I wish there were beds for one, but it makes sense of the scene they were depicting. It may not have made sense. And if you want to collect sets 2004 onwards, there are technically beds, and it's not like the Gryffindor dormitory, like the Gryffindor part of the tower from the Hogwarts Castle set had beds. It was just a common room, so I can't be too mad or complain at all. But even bigger than that is that there's no Hermione in this set, like Cat Hermione. Probably because it would have been too costly to make a new mold of the ears, or I don't know, too many minifigures, which, I mean, makes sense. Hermione Cat is more of a joke thing that happens. It's not really that vital to the plot, and you can somehow rationalize maybe she turned into Draco. That's a big leap and stretch in logic, but maybe you can tell yourself that. Or maybe it just had no effect on her with the Polyjuice Potion, and we don't see her in this set. But other than the exclusion of that minifigure, it's a really strong, solid set all around. A pretty good one that I would recommend. Not a high recommendation, it's not my favourite within this wave, but it's still a really strong set. Again, it's very solid. There's just not a lot to complain about. Not there's a whole lot to praise, but there's enough to praise that I really enjoy it. That concludes my thoughts on the set and this review. And for up next, we only have one more LEGO Harry Potter set to review. That being Dobby's Released. And that is the final set of these 2001 through 2003 LEGO Harry Potter sets. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later.